2 minutes past 12, you're listening to the Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Mari Mukwanda. She relocated to Johannesburg from Cape Town in the hopes of starting life afresh. Little did she know that her dream would soon turn into a nightmare, and worse still, the person behind it all, her best friend. Grizelda Grootboom is on the line to share her story. Good day, Grizelda. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Grizelda.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. And yourself?
I'm well, thank you.
Right now, your story began as a 9-year-old who was raped, and then later on again as an 18-year-old who was sex trafficked. Oh, I mean, like, to tell us your story, like, how did it all start? Like, from the beginning when you were 9 years old.
In the time when a lot of the houses in the District 6 were sort of demolished and families were just falling through the didn't put it up properly for them. I mean, I was one of those kids that got lost in those gaps and became a street kid. And by then, my mom was not even in a relationship with my dad, and I was staying with my grandparents from my dad's side. But through that process, they passed on, and my dad became homeless, and we became basically were street people for like a year and a half, and back and forth, he would just like try to put me in shelters, adult shelters, and obviously go to the harbor, get fish, or scratch the bin. Through the process, I think I did sort of try to come and see where my mom was living, which was in Kailicha, which is in Cape Town, which is probably the biggest informal settlement that we have in the Western Cape. That is extremely problematic. And me arriving here was a whole different social change culture for me, like the language, the environment, into the poverty was just basically straight in that. Due to a lot of, family stigma and discrimination, my mom was married into a culture of the Costa where there's a lot of stuff where, outside kids were not welcomed in. It was one of those big things in South Africa that we have. That really oppressive for many in the system too. So basically that welcoming into my mom's life was very unwelcoming for her because she was not happy about it. And I was just here trying to mess up her marriage. And during that time also, I just, trying to get used to, sightseeing Kailicha. During that time was quite a high level of rallies taking place, the Krizani, and we were going through change of democracy in this country. And again, through that also, a lot of girls were like gang raped, and we called it in the Xhosa language, Ifoli. And I fell in one of those and got raped. My first rape culture, sexual assault, in it. There were 4 boys in Taipei raping me. And then after that, it became my fault because I was released by the boys in quite late in the evening. It was not a whole day there. Neighbors basically just, manipulated my situation without me being there, saying I like boys. Typical not listening to your kids. And that was one of my parents' mistakes. I ran back to the streets, smoked a lot of Timmins, got used to the gangster life that we see today that is also part of that loss of the District 6 people in Nova Park. In that stage, we had an opportunity where we had a shelter called Onsbeck Shelter, which was in Cape Town next to the District 6 police station, right in the center of the CBD of the Cape Town. And Onsbeck Shelter really accommodated as much as they could from those era kids of the street homeless kids. I lived there through all my years of teenage age back and forth. There was a lot of times where we would get locked up, end up in jail. You basically have a criminal record under the same system that says it protects you at the age of 14 for stealing stuff. So you can stay warm or eat or something. The Western Cape Under the Bridge was our home for a lot of street kids. We had little resources opportunities, and in turning 18, the shelter was sort of one of those things where you are not welcomed anymore, where you have to leave because you're over age. And that was the beginning of me trying to make new friends and sort of start tapping into the programs that the shelter has. If they have, it's trying to survive and try to stay in there for more time. But through the time, I met a friend, and with that friend, she was coming from a family from well off. She just had a drug, issue. And we grew very close to each other. She would join us sometimes in the evening. She would assist us to go and rob her kids or friends in Camps Bay because she had those with friends. They are cars or radio cars. And the same here is where she left with her parents, go to Johannesburg, and she went to stay that side. And I remember asking if is it possible if we could meet up there and if I arranged myself to get there. And of course, that was the process. Going through to Johannesburg, it was me being 18, turning 18 that same year in December. I knew it was a new change. I knew it was a new opportunity. I was going with somebody that I've spent in I don't know how many sessions of taking drugs in the midst of gangs and always had the protection of loyalty. So the fear of other thoughts that this individual would actually betray me did not occur at all. Like on the street, no, it didn't. When I got to Joburg, gave a call, told her Park State was extremely busy and big. It was exciting. And then she came to pick me up a couple hours and drove me to Yeovil. And that's when I was, walked into an apartment where she apparently, say she says, in which I believed, because that's where she moved to. And then she showed me into my room and said she was going to get me food. And that was the last time I saw her. And of course, trusting her, I took a nap, knowing she was going to come back with food, nothing else as a point. And me taking that nap, I was woken up by three guys. One just started to undress me, my pants down, and literally just injected things for me to be low and numb in my lower body and things like that. So, and excuse me for 1 second, please. Sorry.
Right.
With that, it just excuse.
Right, so we're chatting to Grizelda Grootboom, who's sharing her story of how she became a sex trafficker at the age of 18. She was betrayed by whom she called her best friend. She moved from Cape Town to Johannesburg for the hopes of a better life. And unfortunately, she did not get it when she got there. But we are going to take a quick break. And if you have any comments for Grizelda, you can share them. Please leave them in the comment section below and stay with us. We will be right back.
At this time of trial and worry, the blessings of charity are the ideal means to avoid calamity and despair. The Al Imdad Foundation gives you the opportunity to sponsor a share in a borehole in South Africa for just 1,000 Rand and provide what the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, called the best form of charity. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Looking to get your kick? Kiki's have now reopened on 235 Matthews Maiwa Road in Durban. Head on over for the Taste with Kick. We offer something scrumptious for everyone in the family. Wraps, chicken tikka, burgers, tender grills, mocktails, milkshakes, and so much more. Corporate and events catering available. Visit our social media pages for more info or call 031 209 0119. Kiki's, the Taste with Kick.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
From the townships of South Africa, the refugee camps in Syria, or orphanages in Yemen, the eyes of the needy speak volumes with just one glare. We know what it's like to be at ground zero, with food essentials, clothing and blankets, fresh water portal trucks, and even on-site navigators. We use every cent to better their tomorrow. Become part of our journey to bring relief to all. Go to www.ashrafulaid.org or call us on 011 809 8181. Ashraful Aid, under the auspices of Maulana Suhail Wadi.
What makes Randery Jewelers the optimum place for your memorable gift? Is it our range of exclusive, high-end, luxurious jewellery? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewellery needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. It's 12:13. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media, and chatting to me is Grizelda Grootboom, who is the author of the book Exit, which shares her story of how she was a sex trafficker who was trafficked by someone whom she called her best friend. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section, or you can send them to us on WhatsApp. The number is 061 766 0355. Grizelda, thank you for staying on the line. Now, how did you feel knowing that you by your best friend?
I think at that point I didn't feel I didn't think it would be her. I thought the same thing is happening to her, or it didn't. For me, it was just nearly close to a death experience because there was duct tape around my eyes, crystal meth behind my knees, in my veins. And, the buyers coming in different hours, every hour. I'm just exploiting my body. And I was just fed several times, every time with cocaine and ecstasy. Just naked in a room. It was like you were just captured and kept there. And my thoughts were not really strong enough to think who or where. It was just in a survival or unsurvival, where a lot of times I thought that the drugs would just really, really thin out my blood and I could just somehow breathlessly OD in losing breath or over a heart attack. But none of that. It happened every day where men would come in and just do whatever they want to do. You'd smell like it, cigarettes, some in the morning, some in the evening, some in the whole night. So you basically did not have the sort of feeling in your instincts. It was just you trying to think, should you survive or shouldn't you? And this just went on to me counting of how many men and then losing count and then having to start all over again for, weeks or days. And that's when I was kicked out of the house in the middle of the night. That's when, this first instinct kicked in of where do I go from here? And then I just took a walk with a homeless old man back to Park Station. But because of so many drugs every day and every hour was given to me, it was an addiction, and it just became that I needed to get more. And when I got back to Park Station, there was a lot of truck drivers parked there, and, there was pimps, and they were helping their pleasure relief after long drives. And I got welcomed into that, and that's how I ended up in prostitution. For me, it was just anger. It was betrayal. It was again like I'm trying to find. I'm not trying to find her, because in the hands of pimps, we were moved from so many places. Sometimes we were kept in houses, forcefully had to shoot porn movies. Sometimes we were, just traveling. I think the travel that I had that sort of started at the beginning of my exit was when I was exchanged from a pimp to a madam for Elizabeth, and by then I was 26, and I worked in the brothel for like a whole year, and that year is where I got pregnant, and I thought because I was the only sort of black girl in the brothel, and it was peak season because it was the AFCON, it was the World Cricket, and he had the great grounds, and we used to have a lot of those individuals part of that whole season of sports going on. That's where I got pregnant with my baby girl Summer, and I found out in the 3rd month. And I thought, it would be get kicked out, but I knew in the brothel there was abortion all the time. You were forced into abortion. And I thought, she's letting me grow the baby, but because of customers, and I'm getting more customers. And in 6 months is where I was put into forced abortion in the same brothel. And 3 hours later, I was asked to wake up and get back to work and just put stuff so the blood doesn't come through. And that's where I just I'm giving up right now. You were never allowed to seek for help. If you do, if they did find out, the madam's husband would walk in, which is like the tallest Afrikaans guy with a defense uniform, South African defense uniform, just threatening you all the time. And, so if you were caught that you were trying to escape with a customer or customer on phone, so you're looking for the number, you get beaten up and just stuffed with drugs and get thrown somewhere on the pavement. And when I said no, after working for a whole year for this brothel, which they had most of the time a lot of drug raids because they would keep it for their binge, we would get locked up. And that's how we were groomed to just shut up and not keep quiet. Sorry for the pun. But then, yes, Summer was the exit after the abortion, because when I said I'm not going to take the next client, I've just had an abortion. I'm still, leaching from it. And, that's when I was beaten up and sold a drug and drove back to Johannesburg. And that was the beginning of exit, waking up in Johannesburg Hospital, after a whole month of a lot of lost blood. And yeah, being good Samaritans in the hospitals back then was really very powerful with individuals, humanitarian individuals. And that's where I found one of those individuals that assisted me to go to rehab at the age I have, and the record of not knowing who I was. That assistance became that I served in a shelter called Home of Hope. And Home of Hope was mostly, a lot of babies that was abandoned after birth by parents that was enslaved into a system of prostitution and become pregnant and they throw the kids away. So I lived in it, which was also in the center of Hillbrow in Berea, basically run by quite a lot of, different individuals from different sides of the world. And that was their territory. It was never an escape. My pimp has put a lot of, places in my body, scars and tattoos to say wherever I go, if it's the police station, he would pretend to be my uncle. If he goes to the hospital, pretend to be my brother's friend or something, and just describe certain parts. So I went back to it, and that's where another phase of the exit came, where they sort of exploited me as to do drug trafficking. It was a lot of done through churches. It was a lot of done to organizations. And that's where I met my last job in one of the churches to sort of exit and come back to Cape Town. I came straight to Kaidisha. My mom was very much instilled in the same poverty state where she had to survive on, a lot of stuff that was not really pleasant. I gave her the money. She was not happy about me back again because of, substance poverty, whatever you speak about it when we speak about what people fall in and what the country has done when it comes to poverty in so many communities. She was still feeling I'm this daughter that's supposed to go to the streets and sell. My body started to collapse. A lot of stuff started to come through to show the years of sexual exploitation. Had to start knocking on clinic doors and go for tests, which was extremely difficult because I didn't want to bring any shame to my mom again, because half of the nurses, they would still drink in these little small house cabins around this township. So the rumors of your kids having this disease and that disease was really being spread into a stigmatization manner in community. So that's how I just started clinics and started to listen to certain individuals who do campaign and awareness on TV, healthcare, and then came across individuals that got to know A21 Mika. I came be part of a project, which it was a documentary movie they shot. I was an actor in it as Portia, and the opportunity and platform came after when we launched the movie in Summertown. From there, I met the organization called Embrace Dignity, which is my mentor also today, Mam Nazizwa Routledge, former Minister and Deputy Minister of Health. Her importance for women and girls coming out of prostitution was to give them the dignity. And the question was, what dignity do you have to offer as an organization in South Africa, country for women? And she said, whatever I desire. And that was the first step of me saying, I would like to read and write my book. And wrote my book in 2015 with the assistance because it was really traumatic. I had so much stubbornness because of the trust and anger through the years. A lot of moments of discipline, having to stay away from certain, wanting to fall back or collapse. And they just stood by individually, like 100% Mother Teresa humanitarian people, not putting in this system where you get left alone in a whole room of different individuals that goes through mental health or depression. And we got through the year. The book was launched by Japan, Blackbirds, and traveled around the country and around the world as a global survivor leadership. I received my humanitarian from Up, which is an Indian organization I've been working with just this year, which was one of the biggest, I think, my first global international award. And, when it was a humanitarian one, I was like, wow, it sounds so easy, but really it's not. It's not easy to be in a country where, we still feel like women are choosing to be sexually exploited and we choosing to be raped, let alone saying that it's okay if I get enslaved by my father through human trafficking for the benefit of money or for the benefit of this is the only lifestyle that we get from the system. Today, human trafficking is the massive, big monster just after, the weapons that we have around the world being sold around. It's the same thing with women and girls being trafficked. South Africa right now is standing on number 3, where we really are not really interested in combating human trafficking. We're not taking it as serious to a point where we have to have different kind of awareness that goes through dynamically. And the reason because, we are not getting there with trying to rescue women and girls is because we're not putting global survivor leaders into the forefront for the awareness for young people to understand. I've been working on 2 cases just in these 2 months where kids are being trafficked through malls by people who pretend to be doing promos, and they get lost and they cannot be feared into what to identify as what is a trafficker. It is not fair. We need some more implementing security safety systems around our teenagers around the country. If we look through the porn sites right now, just through COVID, it was more and more and more kids were being groomed through those sites, meaning our internet is not protected. And that's where our kids are growing through. We like it or not, they are going through the technical device and technology is taking over their minds in an hour. And traffickers know that. And
nothing new, that right will conquer wrong. And the heart of a Muslim must be strong. It's the heart of a Muslim through the guidance of Islam that makes you fair and kind and helpful to your fellow man. So living as a Muslim means that you must play a part. Allah looks not at how you look, but what is in your heart. In a poor, meager state, little food on a plate, Mother said she was glad, always sharing what we had. When I asked how can we share what's not enough, she said the heart of a Muslim's filled with love. He said it's time you should know, you will learn as you grow, that some people around will do what's bad to bring you down. Father said to be a star that's shining bright, for the heart of a Muslim does what's right. It's the heart of a Muslim through the guidance of Islam that makes you fair and kind and helpful to your fellow man. So living as a Muslim means that you must play a part. Allah looks not at how you look, but what is in your heart. So whatever you do, make sure your words are true. Honesty is the best, because life is a test. Even if it hurts so much you want to cry, for the heart of a Muslim does not lie. It's the heart of a Muslim through the guidance of Islam that makes you fair and kind and helpful to your fellow man. So living as a Muslim means that you must play a part. Allah looks not at how you look, but what is in your heart. So living as a Muslim means that you must play a part. Allah looks not at how you look, but what is in your heart. See, we work so hard, sometimes forgetting about our hearts. What are we chasing for? We don't need more. I know the world is tough, but all we need to show.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Media, and unfortunately we have been a victim of load shedding, but shukran for being patient with us and for staying with us. And still chatting to me is Grizelda Grootboom, who was sex trafficked by a friend of hers, and she fell into prostitution thereafter, but she has since turned her life around, and she's the author of a book titled Exit. Grizelda, quickly, where can people get a copy of your book?
The copy of my book, you basically order it from me now. We have taken it off the shelf.
Grizelda?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
We have lost Grizelda there. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you have a load shedding.
Can you hear me clearly?
Thank you for tuning in, and we're going to leave it there for now, but stay with us, because when we come back, I'm going to be chatting to Winston Kunene, who's a property specialist, on how to create financial freedom with property investment. Stay with us.